Welcome to Proclaiming Justice, a podcast from PJTN that focuses the light of truth on vital issues in today's headlines that impact every American. I'm your host, Laurie Cardoza-Moore, founder and president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, and I'm here to educate, motivate, and activate you to action. I want to arm you with the truth and the facts you'll need to fight and preserve our constitutional republic and uphold the Judeo-Christian values our nation was founded upon.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, and my next guest, I'm so excited. This is the Consul General to Israel, Anat Sultan-Dadon. And she has been the Consul General for 4 years, 5 years?
4.5 years.
So this has been a great honor to work with her. You know, we meet every year. I update her on the work that we're doing with Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, because this is, your district is the Southeast United States. Tell our audience a little bit about the role of the Consul General and the states that you are actively engaged in.
Sure. And so we have, of course, Israel has an embassy in Washington, but we also have 8 consulates around the United States. Each one covers a different region. Our consulate is based in Atlanta, and we cover 7 southeastern states. And we are in charge of promoting Israel's bilateral relations with these 7 states on every level: political, academic, cultural, economic, etc.
Right. So this is your first year to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention.
That's right.
So what do you think so far?
Well, I think it is
an
incredible privilege to be among so many friends and supporters of Israel, especially at this time, because this is a difficult time for Israel, for the Jewish people, and it is incredibly heartwarming to be among so many friends and supporters of Israel.
Well, I'm so glad that you said that, because we want you to know we love you, we support you, we're here for you. We hope that when you leave this conference, you're going to feel like you've had the biggest hug that you've ever received from all of these evangelical Christians. This is such an important venue, and it's an important opportunity to try to get our message out about what is going on in Israel. And of course, we've been doing that, but the world really changed. It changed, but it didn't change after October 7th. Tell our audience a little bit about the challenges that Israel has been facing as a result of what happened, especially the propaganda war that Israel has to constantly fight.
October 7th, of course, we experienced the largest massacre committed against Jews in a single day since the Holocaust. The atrocities of October 7th are not only still ongoing, because we have still 134 of our brothers and sisters in captivity, being kept as hostages in Gaza by the Hamas terror organization, but we have the responsibility to ensure that we will never again see such crimes against humanity committed against our people. And that is why Israel is fighting in order to ensure that we will never see such a terror threat emanating from the Gaza Strip ever again. And while we are fighting on the ground in order to defeat Hamas and in order to bring our hostages home, we also have the battle internationally of public opinion, because we are seeing demonstrations of hate all around the world, and we are seeing too many who are shamelessly siding with terror. Rather than standing on the right side of history, on the side of humanity, there are too many who are choosing to stand with evil and to side with terror. And I think that we all have a shared responsibility to call it out, because Israel is on the front line of fighting this fight, but it is not just Israel's fight. We are fighting the fight of the free world against a radical Islamist ideology that stands in stark contradiction to everything that we believe in, to everything that we cherish. Because while we sanctify life and freedom, they glorify death.
Right. So you've had the Israeli government has had some challenges with other governments in the world, and specifically as it pertains to this convention, the United States of America. And I have to tell you that it troubles me to see our current administration telling Israel, speaking to Israel out of one side of their mouth, and then communicating a whole nother narrative out of the other side. Our administration, from the very beginning, said that they were committed to helping Israel, supporting Israel, but now it seems like Israel's being pushed, they're being pushed up against a wall. They're being told now, calling for a two-state solution. Israel hasn't even finished annihilating the enemies, wiping the enemy out. And this is something that not just the Biden administration has stated that they're going to be committed to, is letting Israel finish the job, but other nations as well. How do you fight not only the propaganda war, but the political war with an administration who seems to be confused about where we are in the war? We haven't even finished what the administration said it was going to support. The fact that the Israeli government has been told, we're going to withhold weapons, we're going to withhold ammo from you unless we do this. How do you fight? How do you stand in the midst of these global leaders that are pressuring you to do the thing that we obviously shouldn't do?
Israel is acting from day one in order to defend our country, our citizens, and we are acting as any other sovereign nation would, because we cannot allow for this threat to exist on our border. When Hamas leaders claim proudly that they will commit October 7th again and again and again, we take them at their word. And we have the responsibility to ensure that they never have such capabilities again. We are grateful to the United States administration for providing not only moral support, but support that is crucial for Israel to be able to continue fighting this fight. But we do think that October 7th is not just a wake-up call for Israel. It should be a wake-up call to the entire international community, because the terror infrastructure that has been built in the Gaza Strip, the entire terror underground in the Gaza Strip, the indoctrination of the children of Gaza, raising them to become terrorists, all of this has been done also with the funding of the international community. The United Nations bears a responsibility, and the international community bears a responsibility, and the time has come not only for Palestinian leadership to tell their people the truth, and the truth is that there will be no self-determination for the Palestinian people at the cost of the existence of the State of Israel. But the time has come also for the international community to hold Palestinian leadership accountable. This is what must be communicated to the Palestinian leadership and to the Palestinian people.
So I'm watching what's happening in the Middle East. We have Qatar, who is negotiating, working through Egypt, negotiating to push for a two-state solution. And there was just a recent incident with Qatar. Now Qatar is pushing for a two-state solution. Am I correct? And the other thing that I'm concerned about is when last week, when Joe Biden, President Biden, had invited King Abdullah to Washington, D.C. for a press conference at the White House, where they talked about dividing the land of Israel. And the Prime Minister of Israel is noticeably missing. How can Israel fight this, or how is Israel going to address this issue? Because it doesn't seem like Israel has a voice in what the outcome or the future outcome is going to be.
I will start by saying that Israel has made it clear already in our Declaration of Independence in 1948 that our hand is extended in peace to all of our neighbors.
Amen.
And whenever there has been a leader courageous enough to choose the path of peace for their country and people, we have been able to forge peace. That has become a reality with Egypt, with the Kingdom of Jordan, and with the signing of the Abraham Accords with the United Arab Emirates, with Bahrain, with Morocco, who has joined. Peace is a choice to be made. Any future of a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians will have to be reached through direct negotiations by both sides. But now is not the time for those negotiations. Now is not the time to discuss any future arrangements while we still have an imminent terror threat on our borders, while we still have 134 hostages in captivity in Gaza. Our priorities are our survival. That comes first. When we have ensured safety to our country, to our citizens, to over 100,000 displaced Israelis, when we can ensure that they can return safely to their homes, that is when we can look at the day after.
So where are we now? Where is Israel in the midst of this? What's the next step for Israel?
We are still working in order to defeat Hamas. Hamas still has a stronghold in Rafah.
Right.
We still have hostages in the Gaza Strip. We are still working in order to eliminate the terror threat. We are still working in order to ensure that Hamas does not have the capabilities to carry out what it says it will carry out, to carry out what its charter proudly states. Their goal is not a political goal. Their goal is a genocidal goal. And we need to work to ensure that they never be able to fulfill their goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And we support you. Americans, especially this audience here at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, support that. I talk to many Christians around the world, South Africa, Australia, here across the United States. And they all say the same thing. Israel needs to finish the job. Israel has the moral clarity to take this enemy on and finally eliminate it for the sake of humanity. Because if we don't take care of this in Israel, if we let this enemy win, and we just turn a blind eye and try to go on with business as usual, then it sends a message to all the Western countries that you're next.
And to all the other terror organizations, to all of Iran's terror proxies, because Hamas would not have been able to carry out the attack that it carried out on October 7th without the funding, the equipment, the guidance, and the logistical support that it receives from Iran. Iran is not only continuing to pursue its nuclear program, it is continuing to foment terror in the region through Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq. It is destabilizing the region, and it is a threat globally. It is a threat to the entire free world.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an election year, and who we put in leadership positions, whether it's the presidential race, congressional race, senatorial race, these people, whoever we choose, what seems to be our focus and our interest determines what will happen to us in this country. You know, one of the bright spots of the world leaders is the Argentinian president, Milei. I've watched him. I watched the video images of him going to the Western Wall, weeping, praying at the Western Wall. He seems to be a little ray of hope for Israel.
I think it is incredibly moving to see leaders come to Israel at this time to express support, express solidarity, and this is what we would love to see from our Christian friends all around the world. This is the time to travel to Israel. This is the time to tell Israelis that they are not alone.
Amen. And ladies and gentlemen, you know PJTN is heading to Israel in May. And if you want to join us on this trip to go stand with our Jewish brethren, to hug their necks, to tell them we've been praying, we're standing with them, we're going to hold our government leaders accountable, this is the opportunity. Consul General, tell us how can the Christians in our audience support you in the work that you're doing? And I want to ask you to please, when you go back to Israel, tell your colleagues that there are many, many Christians who love them, who are praying for them, that we pray for your protection, we pray for your strength and your courage, because you are the light to the nations of the world. We know this. What can our audience do?
Thank you for the support. And I would tell the audience, if I may, use your voices. It matters, and every voice matters. Now is not the time to ask, what would I have done 80 years ago during the Holocaust? Now is the time to ask, what am I doing today? Where do I stand? How do I stand on the right side of history? And how do I demand of others to do so? Because in the world where so many are trying to sow hatred and division, we need the voice of moral clarity. We need a voice that clearly stands for humanity, against terror, against evil, because it is not just Israel's fight.
You're amazing. You're inspiring. Thank you so much for the amazing work that you do. Thank you for allowing us to just play a little small role in helping to get your message out to Christians around the world. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for joining me on this edition of Proclaiming Justice. Please share this podcast with your family and friends. For more information about how you can get involved, please visit our website at pjtn.org. As a PJTN Watchman, you can help us keep up the fight to preserve our freedom for our children and their children for such a time as this.